Hello, this is my presentation about the primacy and recency effect. Let's jump right in. My first slide is titled, What is the primacy and recency effect? A definition that I found was information presented at the beginning is primacy and the end is recency. Of a learning episode tends to be retained better than the information presented in the middle. So explaining that would be if you are giving a presentation, you would want to put the things that you want people to remember in the beginning and at the end. So you want to start off with your more hard-hitting and more information that you want people to remember, because in the middle of a presentation people tend to maybe drift off or get distracted, and it's not as easy to focus during then. But if you put things at the beginning and at the end, people are more likely to remember it. Primacy, the beginning, so that's when they're first getting into it, and at the end is basically wrapping everything up, and then it's in their head because it was the last thing that they remember. Alright, slide number 2 or 3. So this one's called Testing the Theory. I found an article that was testing, it was judging a person's perception from changing emotional expressions. So basically, these researchers gathered college students, and they said, all right, well, if you participate in this experiment, we'll give you credits for a class. So they were into that. So basically there were 3 experiments that were done. There was experiment 1A, 1B, and 2. And experiment 1A, they were showing different facial expressions that were giving off dominance and affiliation. For experiment 1B, they were showing facial expressions that had to do with competence and warmth. And then experiment 2, they did facial expressions that had to do with dominance and trustworthiness. So basically the people that were the ones participating in the experiment were shown pictures, like a slideshow of different facial expressions depending on what experiment they were in. So basically, when we look at the results of this, we see that over the course of all the experiments, we see that a strong recency effect was actually shown. Basically, for experiment 1A with the dominance and affiliation, we see that start emotions don't really matter, because if somebody is giving off angry energy of some sort by the end of a discussion, you don't really take into account the beginning of what they were saying. Like if they just looked like maybe nice or like calm, and then by the end they're showing like angry like energy and stuff like that, then you're going to remember that like more. So that was a strong recency effect shown. Experiment 1B was showing competence and warmth. So basically, when you have something to do with being nice and like stuff like that, like showing warm energy, that kind of goes throughout like a slideshow. Like if someone's showing like they are competent, like they look like they're belonging to something and they're like nice, people still will use the beginning, the primacy effect, because they noticed that they were a nice person and then it kept going as that way. But there was still a recency effect because it was how you end a conversation, how you end with somebody. So there's usually a recency effect because if you're leaving a conversation or something like that, and you can kind of look at how somebody like is looking, it kind of shows like what you take away from it. And then for the experiment